So this is the first time I'm trying this. I've got a lot of good stories I think that would be really entertaining. I have a lot of opinions too, and some of that may come out at some point depending on how things go. But I just want to start out by telling some stories that I think that everybody can identify with. Pretty funny. A lot of them are. A couple of them are sad. But the reason for the mask and my awesome hat here, I'm the world champion, is I just think that it's probably better initially to make sure that you protect yourself, that nobody knows who you are. I'm not trying to look like a gangster. I'm not trying to look like a thug. I'm not trying to look like a cowboy, world champion cowboy. I'm not trying to look like any of that. I just felt the need to try to hide my identity as best I can as I try this out. But let me introduce you. The first story that I want to tell is about one of my friends. And I got several good stories about him. We're going to start off with kind of a short one today to see how this goes. But he's got some really good stories. This is not the best one, I'll tell you, but it is good. This guy, just to introduce you to him, we'll call him Bob because I love the name Bob. Always have. Maybe because of Bob Newhart. I don't know. At any rate, Bob is a white guy. He is about going up through school. He was always about 4 to 6 inches shorter than the average person in our grade every year, all the way up through senior year into college. He was about 4 or 5 inches shorter than everybody else. He had blonde hair. Sometimes he would spike it up. Most of the time not as he got older. He wore a really huge backpack when we were in our younger years, 6th, 7th grade. And a lot of people sometimes made fun of him. And even we did at times. And so the way that we got to be friends actually is kind of weird. He came in the 5th grade, didn't know him really well, never really talked to him. In the 6th grade, we moved to what they called back then junior high school. And at that point, everybody congregated outside of the school before the bell rang. And my friend group, we were all there in a circle. And then Bob comes up one day, early on in the year, and he just kind of scoots himself into the circle, just stands there, doesn't really say anything. Every once in a while, I throw a word in, but mainly just stands there. And even some of my less couth friends at times would say, Bob, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, go, 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 get out of here. And he might for that day, but then the next day he would be there, and the next day he would be there, and the next day he would be there. And then he would figure out what we were talking about, generally, and then he would watch or listen to whatever it was, and he would have something to say about it. And so as the months went on, that first year in the 6th grade, he would be, and he was included. He just pushed himself in and said, I'm going to be your friend no matter what. And today he is one of my best friends, has been for years, over 20 years. And tonight, in fact, I'm going to have dinner with him. So he's a really loyal, really great guy. He's the guy that you would want for a friend, and I'm really grateful that worked out like it did. But to get into the story, the first story I'm going to tell on this channel, and this will give you an idea kind of about Bob. So, one of our other friends was going to get married. He was going to get married in Florida, and I cannot remember if it was Panama City or Destin or Fort Walton. It was somewhere up there on the Panhandle, and so we all went down. All the guys went down. All the girls went down separately, and they had their own accommodations. We had our own accommodations for the time leading up. I think we went down a day and a half early. So the night before the wedding, all the guys went out, as guys typically do, to the clubs down there. And we didn't go to a strip club. We just went to regular clubs down there in Florida. And we all drank a pretty good bit, of course. We ended up getting back but we had a good time. There was no issues at any of the clubs. A couple of the single guys, did a little bit with some of the ladies, presumably single, I hope. But nothing major. And so we all get back to the room there about 2 o'clock in the morning. And Bob, he's always had this, he has had this fascination with food since about the 8th grade, 9th grade. And that's another story about why that is, but that's for another time. Anyway, so we get back about 2 o'clock in the morning. We're fairly in town, but it's kind of back off the main drag area. But he is just starving. He is just intent that he is going to go find some food. He has to go find some food right now. Doesn't matter if it's 2 in the morning and everybody else just wants to crash and go to bed. And so he tries to recruit some people to go with him. He asked me, he asked some others, and I'm like, no, not doing that. And he's obviously a groomsman like I am in the wedding. But so he says, I'm going to go myself then. I'm going to go. And we're like, all right, man, Bob, do what you got to do. If you got to go get some food, go get some food. We're going to go. He had a key to the room, make sure they can come back and get in. We all go to bed. We do not hear from Bob again. We wake up, about 9 in the morning, and I go and look in Bob's room. He's not there. I go around the beach house, and I'm asking people, I'm like, have you seen Bob? Where is Bob? I need to know where Bob is. Nobody's seen him since he walked out of here last night at 2 o'clock. Where is he? No, I ain't seen him. Okay. We go, the door's still locked, which I guess he could have come in and locked it, but he's not in the building. And so we are starting to freak out at this point, man. He's been gone like 6-7 hours. So we're all getting together, getting our shoes on, getting our clothes on. We got to go find Bob. We got to go see what's going on. He said he was going down that way to this certain restaurant. We got to go and try to find him. So as soon as we get dressed, we're about to walk out the door. We open the door. Bob's at the door. And he does not look good. He hadn't been beaten up or anything. His clothes were all disheveled. I think he had lost a shoe somewhere and he didn't know where. And he just stumbled in the door. Literally, he comes in the door, does not say anything, walks over to the couch, falls down on the couch, out, asleep. Okay. So we get him up eventually, like, Bob, what happened to you last night, man? We're worried about you. You left at 2 o'clock by yourself down here. And I want to say it was Panama City. In Panama City, walking up and down this strip, and we had not heard from you at all, ever. What happened? And so here's what Bob had done. Bob had walked halfway to whatever restaurant that he was going to. He decided at that point that he was too tired to continue and he would have to rest. So he laid down on a bench, and this bench was not in the best part of the town we were in. He laid down on this bench and said he had to take a nap. In his mind, he said, I will take a nap and then I will get up and continue my trek to my food. And then I will get it and go back to the house. And we're like, man, you were not in the best part of town, right? He's like, yeah, I know. Like, were you not scared to sleep, just lay down and sleep on this bench that was nowhere near anything you knew and, not in the best spot? And he's like, no, I had it covered. And we kind of look at each other like, well, what do you mean, Bob? What do you mean you have it covered? He said, I tell you what I did. Before I laid down, I took out my pocket knife. We're talking about a pocket knife with a 2.5, 3-inch blade. He said, I took out my pocket knife and I laid it on the bench up beside my head and I opened it up. The blade was showing so people would know not to mess with me. And so I was safe because I put my pocket knife opened on the top of the bench. And we said, what now? You thought you were safe because you opened a tiny pocket knife and set it at the top of the bench that you were asleep on, and that was your security for the night? He's like, yeah, that handled it. At that point, we said, okay, Bob, we're glad that you made it. We are glad that you got back and nothing happened. But that is the dumbest damn thing that I or any of us have ever heard. Please do not in the future think that lying down on a bench in a bad part of town with a 3-inch pocket knife in the open position is adequate security for you to make sure that nothing happens to you. It all worked out. He came back, did the wedding. Everything went well. But that's the first story about Bob. And like I said, that was not the best one. And I'm going to tell some others as well about other people, including myself. That's the first story about Bob. Not the best one, but it's the one I'm using to get started. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.